Greetings, everyone. We'd like to share this with you. We've never done a video on sports. We usually reserve our videos for much more urgent matters, but this was so astounding. This was such amazing that we thought we'd weigh in on it. As you can see by the title, it's obvious to me, and it should be obvious to any what I would consider real or knowledgeable boxing fans, that this was a fix. Now, if you're a casual boxing fan, or if you are a die-hard Lomachenko fan, hopelessly biased for Lomachenko, then you're going to disagree. I fully expect that. With that in mind, keep in mind, I am a huge Lomachenko fan. I'm also a fan of Rigondeaux. I think both of them are superb boxers, and I was looking forward to a superb matchup. But what we got was a fixed fight. If you know Bob Arum, if you've ever heard Floyd Mayweather talk about him or any others talk about him, you know that he's corrupt. I just have to say it that way, very plain and simply. I want to weigh in on Stephen A. Smith, because if you can read between the lines, or if you want to consider it a subliminal message, Stephen A. Smith pretty much let you know he think it was fixed. Now again, it's subliminal. You have to read between the lines. So he didn't say those words literally. But if you listen to his back and forth with Teddy Atlas, he said so many things that, again, if you read between the lines, he's pretty much acknowledging that it was a fixed fight. It's unprecedented that a fighter would cause guys to quit without his opponent suffering any major damage. Now, don't be surprised if you don't see Stephen A. Smith on ESPN anymore. I would be elated to have someone corroborate what I'm saying, or at least make the same inference. To me, it was so obviously fixed. If you are what I would consider myself to be a very knowledgeable, even an expert boxing fan who's been watching boxing for over 30 years, you know that what you saw in there was not a real fight. Rigondeaux's body language, his mechanics, everything about him said to you, if you truly know boxing, again, if you're not a Lomachenko diehard fan or a casual boxing fan, you know he didn't go in there to fight. He was pretty much begging the referee to stop the fight. He was begging the referee to disqualify him. He kept doing those duck down positions and freezing there. Ducking and freezing, not ducking and rotating around the punch, but ducking and freezing and just letting Lomachenko land these little bit more than pitter-patter punches on him. Okay, if you've seen all 17 of Rigondeaux's fights like I have, I've also seen all of Lomachenko's fights as well. You know Rigondeaux doesn't fight this way. Now, we're not talking about Triple G. Okay, Triple G has never even made anyone quit. And he punches with a lot more power than Lomachenko. We're not talking about Mike Tyson in his prime. We're not talking about Roberto Duran or Deontay Wilder. I'm looking down because I just made a few notes to remind myself of some of the points I wanted to make. None of these fighters have ever made anyone quit. Marvin Hagler never made anyone quit. Floyd Mayweather, with as many punches as he lands on fighters, he never made anyone quit. So it's very suspicious that Guillermo Rigondeaux would quit without suffering any punishment. And as Stephen A. Smith even said, Nicholas Walters quit and he didn't even suffer any damage. Okay, Rigondeaux quit, he didn't suffer any damage. But again, it's obvious from his body language, the ducking down and freezing and just letting Lomachenko land punches. The not even throwing his left hand. Of course, he said that he hurt his left hand, but Cuban boxers aren't known for their acting skills. American boxers with Hollywood and other influences growing up are usually better actors than Cuban boxers. He never winced in pain. He never gave any indication that his hand was hurting or anything during the round that he said it was hurting. I think he said he heard it in the third or fourth round. Neither did he show any signs of pain while they were taking his glove off of him or anything. And I've seen tons of fighters hurt their hands, and if you notice, they always kind of wince in pain when you pull the glove off or something. He never showed any signs. And if you look at his body language, you look at his eyes, Rigondeaux was telling you that, listen, something's not right here. Even Lomachenko made signs that something's not right. He knew he wasn't in there against the guy that was 17-0, 11 knockouts, had broken 3 jaws, okay, has 4 or 5 knockouts from body punches. A guy that's fluid, he moves, he can be stationary, pick you apart, he can move. He was pretty much a stationary target, flat-footed, ducking, freezing, and just letting Lomachenko land slightly better than pitter-patter punches. So, again, it's obvious to me that was fixed. But you have to keep in mind, Bob Arum is corrupt as they come. You do the research yourself. You know, I could go on and on about him, but the video would be far longer than I desire it to be. So, once again, if you're a casual boxing fan, you're going to rip what I'm saying apart, and that's fine. If you're a die-hard Lomachenko fan with nothing but blinders on, can only see Lomachenko, then you're going to disagree. If you truly know boxing, you can analyze and dissect boxers, okay? You've been watching it for years. You watch everything from the lowest level boxers all the way up to marquee matchups and everything in between. It has to be obvious to you that Rigondeaux threw that fight. He did a very poor job of throwing that fight. Okay, according to my research, Rigondeaux got $400,000 for the fight, and Lomachenko got $1.2 million for the fight. Rigondeaux simply needs the money. He can't get anybody to fight him. Frampton won't fight him. He moved out of the division. Santa Cruz won't fight him. Quigg won't fight him. No one will fight him, so he had to take the fight for the money. And it was as far as I'm concerned, it was a risk he was willing to take. Throw the fight, go back down to your weight division. You don't really lose anything in your stock because you're an underdog anyway. You're going up 2 weight classes, fighting a guy 3 inches taller and about 15 pounds heavier, at least at the time of the fight. I think you can check that. But it's just sad. It's a sad day in boxing. Sad day in boxing. Again, I don't do these videos, but the fact that I'm doing one out of the 76, 77 videos I've done kind of indicates to you just how astounding that was. Just how corrupt boxing is. And once again, I have to say this to highlight, Stephen A. Smith may not have a job anymore. Because if you can think intuitively, well, you don't really think intuitively, if you use your intuition, if you read between the lines, if you can kind of see the subliminal messages in his words, he was pretty much telling you all, listen you all, in his argument to Teddy Atlas, this is a fixed fight. Think about that. And things happen in a way that they have to be made obvious sometimes. Call it an omen, call it whatever you want to call it. But 4 consecutive stoppages? Now 2 were against Sosa and Mariaga, 2 guys who were at the lower level of the boxing ratings. But Walters quit without suffering any damage. Then went over and jumped into his arms, hugged and kissed him. Rigondeaux quit without suffering any damage. The reason you do it that way, again, people who really know boxing understand this. Even though they were pitter-patter punches, some with a few decent shots, but you don't want to suffer that for 12 rounds. So you look for an out. Again, Rigondeaux tried to get himself disqualified. It was so obvious he was trying to get himself disqualified. Why clutch and grab your opponent by the arms at the elbow region in the first round? Okay, again, Mike Tyson in all his fights never made anyone quit. Triple G has never made anyone quit. Neither has Canelo Alvarez. Okay, Floyd Mayweather or any of these boxers that can be devastating punchers or can beat you with an accumulation of punches. So it's very odd that somebody like Rigondeaux, and if you know about Cuban boxers, they are not quitters. They are not quitters whatsoever. Very tactical, very technical. They don't quit. They have great heart. And again, it's just odd that he would quit anyway because he wasn't suffering any damage. Now, sometimes you'll see a guy in the 10th or 11th round who might quit. Okay, just suffered so much damage. Eyes swollen shut. Maybe nose is bleeding. Mouth is busted. So by the 10th or 11th round with so much damage being suffered, you might see a guy quit. This guy had no damage at all to him. But again, I surmise Rigondeaux needed the money. He can't get anybody to fight him. He needs a big payday. $400,000 is a pretty good payday for Rigondeaux. Plus, it's no risk to his reputation. He won't lose anything in his boxing stock by losing to a guy he's 2 weight classes smaller than, who's a clear favorite, who's considered pound for pound one of the best. Now, I want to kind of end it with this because I trust this is not what we're seeing. I trust we're not seeing a manufactured superstar. Somebody that Bob Arum is creating a storybook, historical, legendary career for without him actually proving it in a ring. He just has too many Well, at this point, he has two very suspicious fights. Okay, two very suspicious fights. I think they realized they made an error when they put him in the ring. Lomachenko, I'm talking about. Again, I'm a huge fan of Lomachenko. I brag about him all the time. I think they realized they made a tactical error when they put him in a fight against Salido and realized he wasn't ready for that level, so they were very careful. This time, Lomachenko was highly criticized for fighting Sosa and Mariaga. He was embarrassed. People like Freddie Roach talked about how he walked out on a fight. And others in boxing supremacy, at the top of boxing, the most renowned, the most well-respected names in boxing talked about how horrible that fight was, how he needs to fight someone. So Lomachenko was pushed in a corner, backed in a corner, and had to fight someone of substance. Also, this is something I shared with my brother who's another boxing expert. Lomachenko wasn't making any money fighting Sosa and Mariaga. So as Bob Arum was trying to coast his career, trying to make him, I won't call him a paper champion because he wasn't. He did beat Gary Russell Jr., very impressive win, and he did have a win over Nicholas Walters, which was suspect. So it wasn't exactly a paper champion, but to have him fighting guys like Sosa and Mariaga wasn't allowing him to make any real money. So the only way he can make big money is if he fought someone big name. But again, I want to say this once again, and then I'll probably digress after this. It was such an egregious, such an obvious fix. I want to say this to you, Bob Arum. Next time you set up a fix, do it with someone other than a Cuban boxer. Do it with an American boxer who grew up watching Hollywood movies and so forth, who can better stage a fix than Rigondeaux. Everything about that fight was the antithesis, the opposite of Rigondeaux's character. Ducking and freezing and just saying, here, Lomachenko, just hit me, just pummel me. Just pummel me. Not throwing his left hand at all. It's preposterous that he hurt his left hand in the second round because he didn't throw his left hand in the second round. But again, I can't be too mad at or too upset with, or disappointed is a better word, with Rigondeaux because he needs the money. And unfortunately, Quigg, Frampton, Santa Cruz, none of them will fight him. So this was his best opportunity to make some money. He knew, well, if I lose, if I throw this fight, give him this fight. And he tried his best to give it to him, but Lomachenko couldn't quite do what was necessary to finish him off. So he just figured, I'm not going to suffer these pitter-patter punches because they do add up. Might as well go out here in the sixth with a supposed injured hand, even though, again, once again, he showed no signs of it, no wincing in pain, no shaking his arm or his hand or any of the sort of things you would see from a person who was injured. So again, this was a fixed fight. If you disagree, again, I'm sorry, I apologize, you just don't know boxing. You just don't know boxing. I sat with my brother and another gentleman watching the fight. My brother and I are experts in boxing. We know boxing very well. This other gentleman is a novice. He only saw maybe a few highlights of Rigondeaux, only vaguely knew Lomachenko, and he sat there, and even before we said it, he said the fight was fixed. Now think about that. This is a casual boxing fan. Just happened to be there with us. Doesn't know much about either guy other than some highlights he's seen. And to him, it was obvious that the fight was fixed. So, again, this going at my attention to such a great degree that I figured I had to express this. Okay, you all take care. Love and harmony, Brother Osiris.